Greetings! Welcome to the devlog for Alpha 3 of Update 112 of Hot Dogs, Horseshoes, and Hand Grenades. We're going to start, as always, with a quick sound check. Make sure your speakers aren't up too high. Wonderful. So what have we got for you this week? Well, this week is all about smoke and gas. It has been something I've been meaning to come around and get to function in both a better way and a more nuanced way for a while, especially because things like smoke grenades show up and take hold. They show up in a whole bunch of different contexts. So I'm going to talk about sort of what the intent of the system is, why it doesn't work very well, and the improvements that I'm trying to make, and the expansion of the system in general. And to do that, what I'm going to actually do is I have temporarily modified. Note that this is going to look different. Sadly, I cannot actually make them render this way in the game because I'm running this right now on 4080, and that's why my frame rate doesn't implode when I do this. So I've temporarily made the gas spheres of a smoke grenade partially transparent, mostly transparent, so you can see how they work as geometry. So anything in H3 where there is smoke, you get a bunch of these spheroids that come out, and you'll notice that as they come out, they're pressing against each other, and they collide with the ground, but they can actually interpenetrate each other a bunch. And the reason that that is important is if we say take an opaque one, wow, that made my frame rate chug in the headset while that was going on, is that this is what allows us to have a sort of billowy look to the outside of a cloud of smoke. Notice how they can overlap each other. Now, the way that this works or has functioned is that the collider for the smoke that allows them to push against each other and push against the environment is smaller than the drawn part of the smoke. And this is one of two reasons why the smoke grenades end up occluding agent sight less well than one would hope, or that there's this disconnect between how the smoke looks and how the smoke is affecting the way a Sosig sees. And so what I've done is I have done two changes to it. One which is only implemented currently in one of the types of smoke, in the white smoke, and one that is going to be rolled out to a whole bunch of things, which I'll show you. I've modified some other, not just smoke, but gas. So the first thing that I've done, and what I'm going to do for demonstration purposes, we're going to spawn a volunteer here and then end that volunteer, just so that we can see the difference in behavior. So I'm spawning some scout Sosigs in wander mode with random IFFs. So if I spawn these two, they will start fighting each other. Just for reference. Contestant number 2-1. Here's your prize! Oh, Izzy's dodged. Oh, sorry, contestant 2 wanted to live! I'm so sorry! Anyway, so that's what happens when I spawn them. If, however, I create a smoke cloud, let's see, yeah, this is our white one. I'm going to spawn the cloud and then spawn the Sosigs into it. You can see that while in the cloud, they are affected both by the blindness effect and a little bit of underlying confusion.
What's over there?
Has it occurred to anyone
There we
how
go.
bad this would all smell?
There we go. And that one then sets off its little Sosig smoke grenade. Ooh, I need to fix the smoke volumes on that one too. That just reminded me. So yeah, so what now happens is that there is an underlying system that when smoke solids are spawned in the scene, those smoke solids can have properties that can carry various status effects when they overlap a Sosig, and they can be configured to trigger if it overlaps any part of the Sosig or just their head. So, and the reason this is important is how to describe this from my hands. Like, picture a sphere like this, where we have a smoke solid. The way a Sosig sees anything in the world, if we just say spawn this one here non-activated, is that the way this Sosig sees is a single ray is being drawn from a point roughly where its not eyes would be out into the world. The problem is if that smoke volume is actually intersecting the Sosig's head, that little ray test can't actually hit the inside of that sphere, only the outside. And that's been actually the result of a lot of times when a Sosig has been able to see you in combat, but it doesn't look like they can. So now when a smoke volume intersects a Sosig's head, these effects will be transferred. And this is super fun because of the fact that this doesn't have to just be blindness or confusion. I can configure this in a bunch of other ways. So I have modified, for testing, but I'll probably keep it, our mustard bear squirrel here. Let's grab a Sosig. We'll set him to guard, spawn activated, like so. And then we'll detonate the mustard gas, like so. And as the gas goes away, we can see that this Sosig has now been knocked out. So I've procced the sort of power-up effect of being knocked unconscious, which I think will be for about 30 seconds in this case. But this isn't the only thing I can do. I can also say grab... it was requested multiple times that the toxic barrel not have the symbol for radiation on it, but have the symbol for the biohazard symbol. So I have finally gotten around to redoing that. Doot. Put that Sosig there, and then when we shoot this one, it will now vomit itself to death. That might be the most horrible way that anything dies in a VR game. So whereas the way this barrel functioned before is I had sort of an abstract radius effect explosion that was triggering that was like old, left over from Rotwieners, now that effect is actually being transmitted by the gas itself. So if I end up, once again, I'm so sorry to this Sosig here.
What's over there?
Oh, no. You're in guard mode. Just chill out. Oh, you're a random IFF. Nope. Nope. IFF.
Time to file my workers' comp.
I know. Cool. Let's scout, guard, activated, yes. So that one should just chill out there. Then we can spawn, again, a toxic squirrel. So they don't have to actually be near this effect to get it. So if I make him go ragdoll.
Jim calls me a meat whistle one
over
more
here.
time. What's that?
Set that effect there, and then hold the Sosig in it. Huh? What the heck?
Huh?
Okay. Wouldn't be a devlog without a bug. That should have worked, but for some reason, it did not actually register intersections. I wonder if...
Meat market's been real rough lately.
Let's try one more time. Doot. You go! Come on. Oh, come on.
Over there.
Well, now I'm very confused, because that should have worked, because the only thing
It's
that's
a little
transmitting
lonely
the
out
effect... I know, buddy. I know.
No heart.
Exactly. Huh. That I will, in between filming this and putting it out, I will have to figure that out, because once again, the only way that this is supposed to work is actually transmitting that effect through the gas, which works when the gas first is created, but is not working after the fact. So, not quite sure why that could be. It might have some sort of like layer interaction thing to do. You know what? It might be because I'm actually grabbing the Sosig and it's changing it from being on the agent body layer to being on default. That might do it. Either way, I'll figure it out. Anywho, so what is actually, other than those little things being present, the other reason that I'm doing this alpha that's very important is that our M18 smoke has another thing that is different about it, or anything that actually spawns the white smoke spheres, which is that I have added an entire second physics layer here to further disconnect the behavior of the smoke colliding with itself and the smoke colliding with the environment and the Sosigs vision being blocked through it. And it'd be easier for me to explain this in Photoshop, so we're gonna jump out to the desktop so you can see that. Yo! So here we are in Photoshop. So let me describe a little more of what I mean. So let's imagine that we have the environment like so. We're looking at it from the side, floor, wall. The way the smoke currently works right now is that each smoke sphere is basically a visual object that, say, looks like this. And then we'll pick a different color for its collider that looks like roughly like this. And so this is what allows you to have two smoke spheres. Say if I have another one whose collider is like this, that come down to the ground and get really close to each other. So you get a very nice, like, billowy looking effect for the smoke. And I've enjoyed this, and I like elements of how this works. The problem, as we talked about before, is that they can look like they're perfectly lined up with each other. Like we could have a gray sphere like this, and then we could have the collider for it like that. And there is, in fact, a ray of sight that an agent could have if they were lined up right and see through it. As well as, like, as I described the sort of here, I'll redraw what I was explaining before, in that, like, if we have a Sosig like this who sees things, their sort of vision ray check is a line coming out like this, but a smoke collider that is intersecting their head, like, say, that, is not going to block their sight. So what I have done, or what I've done to change all of this, let me just create another layer. There we go. Let's create our wall again. Is that each smoke solid is now a two-object hierarchy, where the smoke layer is the drawing will look almost the same, but the logic is different in that there's now two colliders per smoke solid. There is one that is on a new layer that I've created called Collide with Self and Environment. That is the smaller collider that allows the smoke to compress and push against itself and push against the environment. And then there is now a larger second collider on a layer, on the smoke layer, like so, well, not that much bigger than it, that this layer is the one that now blocks Sosig sight, whereas the inside layer is the one that collides against itself and the environment. So this should allow me to have the smoke behavior I want, but when we have a big if you throw a smoke and lay down a cloud that you visually can't see through, that cloud should no longer be able to be seen through by an agent that is on the other side of it. So the downside of this, and here's the sort of like gotcha with all of this, is that the way that I built all of the smoke functionality in H3 the first time was terrible, in that all of the properties of smoke solids, of anything that produces smoke, what that smoke looks like, all of its little physical parameters, like how fast they grow and decay, was all defined locally on each of those objects. There's no unification to the system. It's basically like I got it working the first time with a smoke grenade and then just manually duplicated that every time I wanted to do smoke, because there weren't that many things that even used it. But in reality, it makes it so that I can't just go back and globally change a bunch of things easily. So right now in this week's alpha, the smoke is sort of inconsistently implemented, in that the white smoke that comes out of regular smoke grenades is using this new two-layer system, but all of the like colored smoke isn't yet, because I haven't gotten a chance to like go in and unmess up that situation. Like the way that Anton would have done this in the past would have been to just like gruesomely just like, I'm going to go change the parameters and hierarchy on the like 40 or so smoke solid prefabs and make sure they're reconnected correctly and not actually solve the underlying problem. Whereas the smart way to do this would be to like not have separate prefabs at all, but like make a more unified system where a script can call into the FX manager and be like, give me smoke that's this color and does this, which is what I'm in the process of building, but it's not done yet. So in between now and me doing that, I want to performance test this because this is a physics change. Every one of these smoke solids is now 2 sphere colliders instead of 1, even though one of those sphere colliders only overlaps, is essentially only used for vision and doesn't do anything super complicated. So in theory, this shouldn't be more expensive, but just in case it is, I would like to know, especially because I now have a high-end development machine that is very difficult to make it actually struggle with anything. So any of you who are hanging out on the alpha or experimental branch who would like to give this a try and make sure that this actually behaves reasonably, I would love you to do so, and just let me know if there is and you can directly compare them. Basically, like the red M18 smoke grenade is how the physics behaved before, and the white M18 smoke grenade is the sort of replacement. In theory, if in an ideal sense, you shouldn't notice anything different between using those two things from a performance hitch standpoint. Like if you're throwing at a group of Sosigs that are standing in a complex environment. But if you do, I would like to know, and if that change is really bad or not, because I would like to convert all the smoke to working this way because it's just more reliable and it makes for more interesting gameplay if you can actually use these things reliably for concealment and suppression and things like that. So anywho, that just about does it for this week. As I said, it's there's a couple other little tweaks and things like that, some of which I didn't even fully document for myself. I also changed the turbo bang snap, which is sort of like a smoke flash grenade that's back in there and is using some of these new systems as well. I'm sort of awkwardly in the middle of making this change at the time for the devlog, but because I've just been trying lots of things to get better behavior. But as I said, I love throwable utility. I think it's an interesting component of just whether you're playing H3 and taking hold, or whether you're doing sort of breaching sort of gameplay. I would like that stuff to be more interesting to use, and because and I'd like to refactor this whole smoke / gas system to be configurable. So if modders want to do weird things, if they want to make a healing grenade thing that has healing smoke or something like that, that should be a trivial thing. You should be able to just pass in the parameters of any power up or anti power up debuff, blinding, unconscious, stunning. Am I missing one? Blind, stun, unconscious, and there's a fourth status effect that I'm just completely confuse, blind, stun, unconscious, power up are the sort of 5 things that that it can proc. So anywho, I hope you have fun playing around with that, and I'll see y'all next week. Peace.